Whether it's cars, comics, video games, or violins, there's a little geek in all of us. It's time to give your geek a voice. It's time for Geek Therapy. Here's your host, Johnny Hamburger.
Welcome to Geek Therapy Radio. If you didn't already know that, if you're one of my regular listeners who's just standing at the radio, oh, Geek Therapy, Geek Therapy. Wait for those black coffee guys to get done. Get to Geek Therapy Radio. I'm Johnny Hamburger, and I'm actually sitting in the studio right now with Justin and Craig from Black Coffee Radio. Isn't that smooth? What a smooth transition.
Hello.
Yeah.
I liked it. I liked it a lot.
You guys, everyone thought you were done with Black Coffee Radio. Nope. You still got an extra few minutes with them.
We're going to keep on talking about ska.
Let's move on to the good show.
Is that what you guys are geeking out about? Geeking out about ska?
Well, it was ska tonight.
Ska, the Grateful Dead,
and then
Starfish.
I'm not gonna lie to you. So we were closing everything down, and I clicked on one of the artists' name in Spotify, and Spotify now does this thing to where they let you see how many monthly listeners an individual artist has on Spotify. And so we were guessing how many individual listeners popular acts have.
Yeah.
Like the Doors.
Regular listener, yeah.
Yeah, monthly listeners.
Okay.
How many would you say the Doors have, Craig?
3 million.
4 million.
Okay.
Just on that's just on Spotify.
That's just on Spotify.
Yeah.
Like Donna Summer.
Some Madonna.
2 million.
1.6. And then
Only 1.6 people? That sucks.
Let me blow your mind, Johnny.
Okay.
The Eurythmics.
Okay, dokie.
4 million.
4 million people.
4 million people are listening to the Eurythmics.
One Direction, 8.6 million.
I thought that was going to be way
But
higher.
Bruno Mars has 30 million.
Can you see who has the highest?
Top?
The top. I mean, wasn't it Bieber?
No. Bieber's only 16 million.
Only 16 million.
Only 16 million.
So it was
The Biebs isn't starving.
He's
Bruno-
not starving.
Bruno Mars
Well,
is
I mean,
like
if
30.
if he depended on just Spotify, he would probably be starving.
That's
Because they pay, like a penny per...
I don't even know. Does
penny
iTunes
per million listens?
Does iTunes still? I used to have some tracks on iTunes, and it was like the artist got 90 cents
Oh, really?
per dollar. I mean, you could name your. This was back in 2009. I put something on there. And it was like, how much do you want to make? And it was like 90 cents per dollar. And now you could see the thing that was funny was, like I said, you can name your own price. So this is for any musician geeks out there who are wanting to upload their stuff to the internet. You can name your price. So I was like, do I want my single one song to be 89 cents or $89?
You can make it $89 if you want to.
The one guy who was like, whoops, he just gave me $90.
Miley's got 22 million.
Taylor Swift.
18 million.
18 million. Harry
already looked it up,
Styles.
yeah.
Tay-Tay.
Harry Styles, like 14 million.
Do you like that new
Is that the
Miley
Styles?
Cyrus song?
Malibu?
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, it makes me sad.
It has its moments.
Makes me sad.
I don't think she can sing anymore.
I think she can.
I don't think so. I think that she has that low, raspy voice, and that's going to be the entire thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Whiskey voice.
Yeah,
I'm
the
into
whiskey
that.
voice.
Yeah.
And I think she can do Jolene. And she's going to do it every appearance for the rest of her life.
She'll be okay.
I hope she saved her money.
Britney, only 8.6 million.
Really?
Yeah.
Hey.
Well, let's look at
So-
what do the Beatles have?
Apparently, we're geeking out about Spotify, just so I can interject because this
ahead.
is my show, gentlemen.
Sorry.
No, that's
Johnny.
fine. I'm literally just like sitting back here, arms behind my head, like you guys just take it away.
You do it.
Go for it. No, yes. You brought up Taylor Swift. Something popped in my mind, and since it's the radio and you got a few minutes, I'm going to talk about it.
Do
I
it.
just bumped in my mic.
Do it.
Anyways, I had. This is going to get me so much crap. I have one Taylor Swift album. I have 1989.
All right.
Because it's good.
It's a great album.
Because
It is.
That's really good.
I don't dig every single track on there, but most of it's good. Out of the woods, out of the woods.
it's
That
good.
song's great.
It's a great song.
There's one thing where I'm just like, oh, Tay-Tay, you silly girl.
You silly mouse.
What song was it? She goes, boys only want love boys only want love if it's painful or if it, basically he's saying boys only want crazy chicks.
Oh.
Maybe temporarily. Maybe I'm not going to get in, let's keep it a family show. But she's like, boys only want love if it's painful. No, Tay-Tay. I'm sorry.
Well, it's blank space.
Blank space.
Yeah.
Blank space, baby.
Thanks, Craig.
Yeah.
All right,
I know because I
Yeah.
had that CD was stuck in one of my family cars for a year straight, so I know that entire album.
He did not Google it. He just knew it.
Yeah.
He just knew it
I
totally.
know that entire album front to back.
If you're going to come at Johnny, come at all three of us.
So I guess, all right,
It's not a bad album. Like, there's worse things you could own.
we can geek out about music. That's completely fine. Before I ever got into radio, I still am a musician. I still play. Do either of you play anything? I saw Aaron walk in here the other day with a guitar for when we were just running carts on KTRH the other day. He brought in his acoustic.
I do not. I used to play. I was a subpar trombone player in high school.
You were a tromboner?
That's the ska thing.
It
exactly,
was.
right.
It was like the kids in the band were like, "Oh, do you listen to Real Big Fish? Because I could play you a song if you'd like." Oh, could you now?
You could have been in a ska band.
I could have.
Not even dealt with any of our crap here.
I have
right.
heard from band geeks, legitimate band geeks, that the trombone players were the absolute worst people on the face of the band planet.
I can.
Not just because they're always like bumping the back of the person's head in front of them, but they were just like they were the biggest disruptors, the biggest jokers, like the biggest dummies.
You have
Remember?
a comical instrument.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess
Remember in high school you'd see or even in college, the marching bands, you'd have the band director up there in the cherry picker, with the megaphone.
Yep.
I was never part of a marching band or a band like that, but I just remember leaving school and seeing the guy up there with the megaphone. Apparently, like the only time he has to come down, like actually, make the effort to pull the lever and come down and get in people's faces, it was always the trombone players messing around.
I can vouch for that.
Yeah. See, I mean, I guess that makes sense. A trombone player getting into a business where you don't have to.
I don't miss that. Because you had to do it in the dead of summer.
Yeah.
In like July, you had to go back.
Talking about marching band?
Yeah, you had to go back and learn a new routine. And then
They were mean to you guys, too. Like, y'all didn't get a lot of water breaks and stuff. And
No,
like,
you got
the
water
heat.
breaks after one of the kids died.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it was really rough.
Yeah.
And that's just when you went to take his water.
But I also liked it.
wasn't
Yeah,
enough.
that's when you took his water. I always liked how there was also that the jock versus band geek thing too. That was always just like, well, you guys get all the love and all the credit because we're there. We're playing like the real game starts at halftime.
I never liked
Hated
that.
that.
I always thought that was stupid.
The real game starts at halftime.
Yeah,
Okay.
we
whatever.
always had a mutual respect for
broke
the
my
football
leg.
players
Yep.
and then us because we would play 5 on it.
Oh yeah.
We'd play 5 on it, and then they would dance on the sidelines because they weren't getting in the game because they sucked, and they knew they sucked. And so
weren't
they
the
would
workers.
they would just kind of nod and bob on the sideline and get them hyped up for like a fourth quarter comeback. And so they kind of looked at us, and we looked at them, and we exchanged a nod, and they knew. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bros.
You were the
Yeah.
house band.
Yeah.
It's not all bros. There's girls in the marching band too.
Yeah, there was.
Yeah.
There was
I
a
used
few.
to.
Of course there were.
I used to hang out with. Pearland had the Prancers. The Prancers were like the halftime, like not cheerleaders, but like the step above cheerleaders. They
They
had
had
like
the
crazy-
batons.
No, that was color guard.
That's color
Right.
guard. Yeah,
Prancers. Pearland Prancers were like they're called the Sweethearts of Pearland or something like that. but
Clearbrook
they-
had the celebrities.
That's what, yeah, basically. But I remember Prancers used to party hard.
Were you in the
man.
Prancers?
No, I was not. I was a Prancer male groupie.
Yeah, the
Prancers
celebrities.
party hard, man.
One man
So the
Prancer.
celebrities. My sister was a celebrity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They wear like the hats and everything and the different outfits and everything.
Yeah,
They were
they
super
were-
serious.
It was like pantyhose and
Yep.
and cowboy
Way too
boots.
much makeup.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I think every
makeup.
school had a troupe like that. I forget. I went to Kingwood High School, and I forget what. The Phillies. I think we called the Phillies. It was just a dance troupe.
Yeah.
I don't want to offend too many people by saying maybe if you were in the Prancers or the Phillies or whatever, maybe that means you couldn't be a cheerleader.
No, it means actually
Or you were better?
It means you were like a step above cheerleader. Like you were a little bit more you could dance actually. Like you could actually you could understand
like-
routines and whatnot.
Yeah, you
Okay,
were the,
maybe
you
the
were the girls
Prancers.
that
Yeah.
took dance class outside.
And you were
of-
somewhat prettier.
I don't know about
I-
that.
Looking
know
back
what?
now, 20 years later, I can honestly say I think it was a little bit more prissier people.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was a little bit prettier girls.
Yeah, that's one way to.
Yeah,
I remember
I'm a grown man now. I'm old enough to be able to have a Prancer. Like I could have I'm to be a father of a Prancer, so I can say that now.
Okay, let me just clarify. We're speaking as if we were 17, like remembering when we were 17. We're not saying right. Exactly.
I'm looking back now, but no, they were a little bit more like I guess put together. Seemed like it. I don't know. Cheerleaders were fun. But like Prancers really partied hard.
I remember our troop would start practicing on the other side of the gym during my PE class. So me and my buddies would just sit there like, I'm gonna ask,
but you didn't.
Megan out. No, nobody ever.
I never did either.
Anyways, on that note, that's a pretty good first segment. Thank you guys. Thank you, Craig and Justin.
Megan's listening right now. If you want to,
bunch of adults making fun of children.
I know a couple.
The problem
Megans.
with you not asking Megan out is that nobody ever asked Megan out.
Well,
and Megan thought it was her fault.
Megan actually was the first girl I ever called on the phone when I was like 10 or 11 years old.
That's a good segment.
That's a whole thing, man. Remember back in the day?
Let's keep that in our pocket for
next time.
We'll talk about the story about when we called our first girl.
You had to talk to their dads first.
Yes, you did, and that sucked so hard.
Yeah, we'll do that next time.
Oh.
All right, well, stick around.
Mr. Ferguson was mean.
Shut up, Craig. Stick around. There's more Geek Therapy to come. We'll be right back. Stick around for these 2 or 3 minutes. And I'm Johnny Hamburger, Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook. And go check out Black Coffee Radio on Facebook also. I'll throw them a bone here. We'll be right back in a few minutes. Stick around. Welcome back to Geek Therapy. Wasn't that a fun first segment with Craig and Justin of Black Coffee Radio? I had fun. Let me just say right now, you've noticed a difference in audio quality. Dare I say, well, not even dare, it just is. A reduction in audio quality. If you're watching this radio show, if you're watching the podcast of it, that's right, I'm video recording it all now. You'll be able to see that I'm wearing a gaming headset with a built-in microphone. So I'm using the microphone on that as opposed to the big fancy radio mic. And that is to give you an idea of what kind of audio you can reasonably expect from these gaming headsets. You can make out my voice. That's pretty much it. And that's all you really need when all you're really doing is, playing your game and talking to your teammates or talking smack to the other team. All you need to be able to do is to make out an intelligible voice. So I'm geeking out this segment on gaming headsets and gaming audio. So that's why it sounds different. Again, you can see why it sounds different if you're watching the video podcast on YouTube, which is a reminder, go onto YouTube and like and subscribe to the Geek Therapy Radio channel on YouTube. And I might as well just hit all the social media real quickly here. Just Google search Geek Therapy Radio and you'll see all of it. You'll see all sorts of ways to interact with me, all sorts of ways to listen to the show and watch the show. But yes, here we go. Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook. Geek Therapy Radio. I'm covering my mouth with my finger. It looks funny. Geek Therapy Radio on Instagram. Geek Therapy Radio on YouTube, and you can email me, just geektherapy at iHeartMedia.com. Email me, geektherapy at iHeartMedia.com. But honestly, it's so much easier just to come interact on you can interact on YouTube also in the comment section. But the easiest thing is Facebook, Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook. That is by far the easiest way to interact. By far, I check that the most often. Not that I don't check YouTube. I get notifications. If anybody leaves a comment on this YouTube video, for instance, I'm going to see it in the comments section and acknowledge it, and we'll engage in our geeky therapy that way. So, again, to bring it back to the beginning, that was a fun first segment with Justin and Craig. And I think we're going to do that a lot more often. It sounds a lot more slick because their show is before mine and lets you behind the scenes of a little radio magic. If you can kind of blend shows together like that, it sounds really good. Plus,
it's fun for me, and it's also easier for me because I can just basically shoot out a topic and let them both go at it. And I can just sit back with my hands back behind my head. Oh, you guys do the show for me. This is nice. So, anyways, that was really fun. Justin and Craig are good sports. Listen to Black Coffee Radio. They talk about anything under the sun. It's just a really fun show. Not that I don't talk about anything under the sun. Sometimes I talk about the sun, because a geek thing is astronomy, and the sun is a star, and that is astronomical. Don't you love it when you have these trains of thought that just, maybe it's mostly a guy thing, but you start talking and you know what you're about to say is stupid, but you've already, the train is just steaming down the tracks. There's no stopping it. So we just, especially us guys, we'll just blurt out dumb things. It's not even a blurt, like I was just doing. I was going through this whole train of thought about the sun, and then I said the sun is astronomical. Okay, I digress. I'm showing you too many ingredients in the cake, and that's boring. You want to eat the cake. You don't care necessarily about the eggs. Except that is also not true. Because as geeks, of course we want to know about the ingredients. That's one thing I've set out to do from the beginning of the entire concept of the show, is just be real honest with you. Let you beyond the curtain, let you see how the cake is made, how the sausage is made. And if that means throwing myself under the bus a little bit by being too much of a geek, is that possible? So be it. Anyways, this segment, I wanted to talk about gaming audio, specifically PC gaming audio. Is it important? Is it not important? Should you be spending a whole bunch of money on audio solutions for gaming? Well, I would say yes and no. No, you don't have to be spending a whole ton of money on audio solutions. This headset that you're seeing right now, if you're watching the video podcast version of this headset costs, I think it was $30. It's a Logitech wireless headset. It's got a USB dongle that's in the computer right now, so I can hear audio from the PC and audio through my, this microphone will go back through that dongle. Dongle is a funny word. But this headset also has a Bluetooth mode, so it'll work with your telephone, for instance. But yeah, how much attention should you be paying to gaming audio? Well, that depends really on how competitively you play, how important gaming is to you. For me, PC gaming is it's a pastime. I'll do it for a couple hours max at any given moment, or at any given session, like 2 hours tops. So, and that sounds like a lot because it is a lot, and that's one reason I stop at 2 hours, is because I'm not doing anything right now. I'm basically wasting time because I do not play super competitively. There are gamers out there who do play competitively and who do actually earn a living playing games. And I'm not just talking about Twitch streamers who earn money through sponsors and whatnot. There are people who play, for instance, Street Fighter. There are people who play fighting games for money. They enter themselves into tournaments and they're really good and they play for 8 hours a day. Daigo, for instance. Daigo is he used to be the best. He is one of the best fighting games players in the entire world. Specifically Street Fighter 2, 3, and 4. He probably plays Street Fighter 5. I honestly haven't kept up so much with Street Fighter 5. But back to the gaming audio. If gaming, playing PC video games is extremely important to you, yes, you do not want to neglect your audio. Because let's say you're playing a game like CSGO. You need to be able to hear opponents around you in 3D space. So if you are just playing your game through some crappy laptop speakers, that is a competitive disadvantage. Audio can be a competitive advantage. And in such cases when your gaming audio is a competitive advantage, yes, it's important. Don't crap out on it. Now, do you need to go out and buy an audio card for your PC anymore? Audio cards used to be predominant in the 90s and probably up to the mid 2000s maybe. But should you go out and buy a dedicated audio card now? No, you don't need to do that, okay? Onboard audio in laptops and PC motherboards is phenomenal these days. Would I use it in a recording studio? Heck no. No. In that situation, when your bread and butter is audio using your PC, of course you're going to need to buy external audio solutions. You can't just plug in this microphone, for instance, that you're listening to. This is what it sounds like when you basically plug in a microphone right into your laptop's or your computer's microphone jack. This is what you get. This is about the best that you get. And this simply will not do for professional audio recordings. And that's one reason I'm wearing this headset, as I wanted to show you that a microphone plugged directly into your laptop or computer is not going to sound that great, but it'll get speech through there. What is important is the fidelity of the output, what's going into your headphones. And the fidelity of the output of your laptop or your desktop PC, what's going through the motherboard by default, is spectacular nowadays compared to what it was. So no, even if you are a hardcore gamer and it's a competitive advantage to have the best audio possible, you don't always need to go out and buy an external audio solution. Not always. I will say this, though, to wrap up the segment about gaming audio. If you are going to spend money on upgrading your audio setup, don't go out and buy an audio card. Like, don't go out and buy a Sound Blaster audio card. If you're going to spend the money on your audio setup for gaming or otherwise, go get a professional external audio device. Go buy something from Tascam, from M Audio, from there's so many other manufacturers. Presonus. If you're going to be spending money on audio, you might as well spend your money on professional audio solutions. And that goes for speakers too. If you're going to go out and spend, a couple $100 on PC speakers, like a set of PC speakers that has a subwoofer, if you're spending a couple $100 anyways, you can buy actual recording studio monitors, actual recording studio speakers for the same amount of money. KRK Rocket 5s are amazing. M Audio AV40s. I've got a pair of AV40s. It was like $100, but they're actually recording studio grade monitors. In other words, the video games you are playing, the audio for them is mixed and mastered through studio monitors, recording studio monitors. So go and buy the actual studio monitors that the games are being produced on. Same thing with home stereos. That's my theory with home theaters. Instead of going out and paying thousands of dollars for some Bose speakers, no, spend the same amount of money on actual recording studio monitors. That way you're listening to the movie the way that the directors and the editors are actually making the movie. You're hearing what the actual producers heard when they made the movie, instead of doctored audio, which is all treble and all bass and no mid-range. You're not hearing a faithful reproduction of the movie. So if you're going to be spending thousands of dollars or hundreds of dollars on a home theater setup, when you're doing your 5.1 or whatever, go out and get 4 or 5 KRK Rocket 5s and then the 10-inch subwoofer. Then you're actually listening to audio through the same types of speakers that the producers are making the movies with. That's just my theory. You don't have to do that. Really, it's easier just to buy a big box full of speakers and set it up. But if you know what you're doing a little bit, and you want the best audio experience for your PC or for your home theater, buy actual professional solutions, because you're going to be spending a similar amount of money anyways. Might as well spend it on speakers and gear, audio gear, that the producers of the video games and the producers of the movies are actually using, and you can do that. So that's it for this segment. I ran a little bit long. What did we, 13 seconds? That's a long segment to do through a crappy microphone. The remainder of the show will be done through an actual radio microphone. So look forward to that. But I just wanted to give you an example of what you can expect the microphone to sound like through a gaming headset. Good enough for speech, and that's about it. Stick around for more Geek Therapy. Take this time to go like Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook, Geek Therapy Radio on Instagram, and Geek Therapy Radio on YouTube. You can watch these segments now on YouTube. It's quite fabulous. What am I doing? We'll be right back. More Geek Therapy. I'm Johnny Hemberger. Stick around.
Welcome back to segment 3 of Geek Therapy Radio. I am Johnny Hemberger. Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook, Geek Therapy Radio on YouTube, and Geek Therapy Radio on Instagram. Why did I say Geek Therapy Radio on YouTube with such inflection? I'm so super excited about it, I guess, because I've started to video record these shows. As you can see, and as you can hear, we're back to good quality audio because I'm actually using a nice, sexy radio microphone, and doesn't it sound juicy and succulent? Okay, so I need to make my segments shorter. Actually, I don't need to make one shorter, one longer. I need to keep to a consistent 11 minutes. Wouldn't that be great? And wouldn't my manager love it if each of my shows were just a perfect 44 minutes? We'll see. But kind of the nature of the beast of being a geek is we fixate on things, and you cannot put a time limit on what we're geeking out about. So if I have 13-minute segments every once in a while, it's just because I'm really getting going. Once you get the motor running on a geek about something, it's hard to shut us up. But I will do my best, Ramon, to keep each segment nice and tight and compact and well packaged. I just winked at the camera. Gosh, I'm stupid. Let's get on to actual subjects here. Tesla is actually beginning deliveries on the Model 3, starting tentatively July 28th. And it's interesting to me because the Tesla Model 3 is probably the first electric car that I wouldn't mind actually spending my own money on. If I was in the market and was well-heeled enough to do so, I would consider buying a Tesla Model 3. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to email the Tesla dealership here in Houston and say, hey, can I test drive one for the show? Can I take one home maybe for a couple days for the show and do a little testy? Can I have a year lease for free? That's illegal. Anyways, but yeah, the Tesla Model 3 is coming out, and I'm pretty excited about it. It starts at $35,000, which is nothing to sneeze at, but is a far cry from what other Tesla models cost, around 6 figures. So $35,000 starting is a much more doable, much more attainable, puts the access to electric cars much more in range of the middle class. The middle class. I was going to say lower middle class, but $35,000 is lower middle class is not looking at $35,000 cars. So Tesla begins delivery on the Model 3s July 28th. I'm just excited to see them out there, and I will test drive one, and I'll let you know how it goes on the show. And knowing me, I'm probably going to video record it and do my segment on it from inside the car. while I'm driving. No, I'm not going to be holding a camera up to my face while I'm driving. I'm just going to have something set up on a mirror or whatever, recording me, and I'll be giving my thoughts on it as I do the test drive. So I'm just excited to see the Model 3s on the road. They're very, very cool. They're very cool to me. Another random story. Scientists have created a scorpion milking machine. And you had no idea that string of words was about to come out of my mouth. There's no machine in the history of machines, no calculator, no computer that could have calculated the randomness of those words I just said. Scientists create a scorpion milking machine. And the only reason that story is fascinating to me is because I'm thinking of little tiny scorpion nipples. This whole past 1 minute has been a string of words that there's no way you could have anticipated. I just wanted to say little tiny scorpion nipples because I am a child and it is funny. I know why they made this machine, and it's an actual legit reason. It's to come up with antivenoms to scorpion venom. It's an actual scientific legit reason. It has nothing to do with tiny scorpion areolas. Next subject. Hypervelocity stars exist, and they're just racing around our universe, racing around our galaxy. And that's super fun to me to think about a star, just a huge, massive thing, just rocketing through our galaxy. Now, one could argue, because speed is relative, if two cars are traveling next to each other on the freeway and both are going exactly 70, in relation to each other, both are stationary. If two cars are going 70 miles an hour on the freeway towards each other, they are both going 140 miles an hour relatively to each other. My brain is just get off of scorpion nipples and onto theory of relativity. This segment is a disaster. So anyways, why is our sun not a hypervelocity star? Well, we got planets around it, and we are doing pretty well in relativity next to other stars. So I'm guessing that these hypervelocity stars are just relative to our sun. If they're coming at us, they are going real fast. I just had a geeky thought. This is a turbo geek thought. This is the kind of thing that makes my eyes shoot open, shoot out of my head in the middle of the night. Okay, speed of light is 186 roughly 1,000 miles per hour, or miles per second. Roughly 186,000 miles per second. That is the speed of light, just off the top of my head. So let's say you have two objects traveling towards each other, both of them traveling, what would it be? Both of them traveling, 100,000 miles per second. So still quite a ways off from the speed of light, but still going fast. Let's say you're in a car and there's an oncoming car and you're both traveling at 100,000 miles per second. So combined, relative to each other, you are both heading at each other at faster than the speed of light. Did I just blow some minds out there, or am I just being really stupid? Is that what would happen? Relative to each other, you're both exceeding the speed of light. So would you see each other? Would you see the light coming off of? No, you wouldn't. You wouldn't even see the lower end. You wouldn't even see the blue light. When an object moves away from you, the light bandwidth expands, the wavelength expands, and it looks more red. When something's coming towards you, the wavelength of the light gets shorter, so it looks more bluish. That's how we can tell what objects in the universe are moving towards us or moving away from us. is if it has a reddish hue, that we know that it's moving away from us, genuinely speaking. If an object is coming towards us and it has way more of the blue spectrum, we know that it's moving towards us. That's just how the universe works. That's how we observe our universe. 9 minutes of this segment already, but it's okay. Like I said, I tried to make this segment short, but we can't help what we geek out about. I'm sure there's a lot of physics majors out there saying, Johnny, you stupid idiot, you have no idea what you're talking about in relativity. Guess what, guys and girls? Great. Go to my Facebook page, Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook, and let me know. Email me, geektherapy@iheartmedia.com. Like I said from the beginning, I'm not trying to be the expert on any subject. I just want to be curious about things. I am curious about things. So if I said anything in astrophysics that doesn't line up, let me know. Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook. That's the easiest way to interact. You can also follow the Instagram, I cannot talk. Geek Therapy Radio on Instagram, geektherapyradio.com. But the easiest way, honestly, thank you, Mark Zuckerberg, is just Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook. On that note, I'm going to wrap it up next segment with a shorter segment. I will try to keep my geek brain contained a bit to make the next segment short enough to stay within my time constraints. So, more Geek Therapy Radio to come. I'm Johnny Hemberger. Stick around a couple minutes for these next commercials. I'll be right back with more Geek Therapy Radio. Welcome back to Geek Therapy Radio. I want to reiterate, if you're just joining me, that I am video recording each of these shows, so you can go to YouTube, Geek Therapy Radio on YouTube, and watch these podcasts when I podcast them. Obviously, if you're listening to the radio right now, you're hearing me on terrestrial radio. But let's be honest, it is 2017, and terrestrial radio is really there as a tool to get you to go listen to podcasts. I mean, it is and it isn't. There is a purpose, of course, to terrestrial radio, and it's romantic, and you're listening in the car. Radio serves a purpose. It serves a big purpose. More people are exposed to advertisements on radio than they are any other source, apparently. So, yes, radio still serves a huge purpose in media. It's not just about the podcasts, but I am supposed to use radio as a tool to get you to go interact online. And in that note, Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook. I know you guys are sick and tired of me saying that, but it has to be said. So this last segment is going to be a little bit shorter. I chewed up so much time in the previous segments. There's a story I want to talk about. There's a subject I want to talk about, and that is flying cars. I hang my head because people ask, we should have flying cars by now. You know, remember in Back to the Future 2, flying cars? We can't have flying cars if we don't know how to use turn signals. Humanity isn't ready. We can't signal lane changes properly. So why would we be trusted with flying cars? We'll have flying cars once they are 100% autonomous and they don't require any human input. But if it was up to us and our human judgment to fly around this airspace, clog it up with flying cars, that would be a noticeable and measurable reduction in human population. It would be population control. Like I said, we barely have any sort of concept of something as simple as signaling a lane change. How we can be trusted with flying cars? Simple answer, we cannot. We cannot be trusted with them right now. To be a pilot requires dozens of hours of training, and you have to get your license renewed. Well, you don't have to get it renewed all the time, but you have to go through. It's hard to be a pilot on purpose because operating an aircraft is more difficult than operating a vehicle on the ground, operating a car. So no, we are a long ways away from flying cars. It's not going to happen. We cannot be trusted with them. We would kill each other way more often than we already do with land-based vehicles. Next subject I want to talk about is, I don't know if you are aware or not, but a gigantic piece of Antarctica is about to break off. It's creeping closer and closer to breaking off every day and creating the biggest icebergs on record. One of the biggest icebergs on record. It's called the Larsen C ice shelf. Larsen C, just the letter C, ice shelf. And it's about to break off. And that's interesting. That's interesting. Do you know why? Because that gigantic ice cube is going to melt and thereby reduce the temperature of the sea. Maybe not the entire ocean, but a big, huge part of the ocean. And when you start messing with ocean temperatures, surface temperatures of the ocean, you start messing with the weather. So this will be very interesting. Once this thing breaks off and cools down the ocean a little bit, well, we might see places getting snow that haven't got snow a lot recently. I'm thinking, specifically England, although this is Antarctica, and why would it have any effect on English weather? It will not. But let's say there's places in the southern hemisphere that for over the past 100 years, over the past 50 years, past 30 years, have been getting reduced snowfall. When you cool the ocean, you might see a little bit of colder weather coming to those areas. I'm not getting into a big debate about climate change, but just the definition of climate change is the climate changes. The climate has been changing on this planet for eons before humans ever existed to start messing with it. I have no problem with the term climate change because that's accurate. That is what's happening regardless of human intervention. The climate changes. So this iceberg, this massive iceberg breaking off of Antarctica, it's going to be interesting to see how it affects climate in the southern hemisphere. As the current takes that colder water, I've got something in my eye. As the current takes that colder water around, what's it going to do to surrounding climates? That's fascinating. Yeah, that's all I really wanted to talk about this week. Did I do it? Did I actually make a shorter segment? Is Ramon, my boss, clapping right now because, hooray, Johnny, kept it under budget? I did. And isn't it wonderful? So, thank you for listening to this week's Geek Therapy. Go check it out on YouTube. Geek Therapy Radio on YouTube. Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook. GeekTherapyRadio.com. I'm all over the place, y'all. Really, like if you're trying to get your friends to listen to Geek Therapy Radio, you don't got to remember all that stuff. You don't got to remember the Facebook. You don't got to remember something in my eye. You don't got to remember Instagram. You don't got to remember any of that. Just say, Google Geek Therapy Radio. That's all you got to say. If you Google Geek Therapy Radio, you'll see it all. You'll see it all there. You'll find me all over Geek Therapy Radio. And for those of you who are blessed with watching the video right now, the video podcast, I'm rubbing my face like a loony. I am tired. It is late, so I am tired. But really, I just had an eyelash in my eye. Thank you, my geeks, for listening. I love you all. Remember that you are capable of good things. Don't beat yourself up. We make mistakes sometimes. Even geeks make mistakes. And I'm not just talking about being bumbly dorks or not knowing how to talk to women's. We might make moral mistakes. We might make physical mistakes. We might hurt people on accident. Just communicate. Be truthful with how you interact with your friends and family and strangers. You're good. Despite the mistakes, you're good. We're good. So just remember that. You're not defined by mistakes. You're defined how you react to those mistakes, how you try to make up for those mistakes. So be good geeks. Be good geeks. I'm using a verb and an adjective. You want to geek out about grammar? I used to be pretty good in English. I need to brush up on my skrills. But anyways, more Geek Therapy next week. Thank you for listening. I am Johnny Hemberger. Thank you, my geeks. I love you all. Tune in the same time next week, 12:06, right here on KPRC. And you can get the podcast anytime. Just watch Geek Therapy Radio on Facebook, Geek Therapy Radio on Instagram, and Geek Therapy Radio on YouTube. You will find the podcast there. I love you. Johnny Hemberger signing off. Have a great weeks. My geeks. I'm not even going to address how I flub those words up. Goodbye.